So for this year's grad show, the theme is Metropolis, a city of distinct parts, separate yet bound together by the common intention of making a better world by design. The ASD grad show is a showcase and exhibition of the works done by the bachelor's and master students over the past 3 years. Instead of showcasing the different projects separately, we wanted to showcase them together as a cohesive unit. So we constructed a table in the center of deck, whereby we have the different projects interact together to create an eclectic cityscape. So for the curation of this year's grad show, we wanted to break away from the traditional way posters are being laid out. So we extracted key images and key illustrations from the different submissions we received, and we laid them out in a mosaic fashion so that the public will be able to digest them in a different way. For the approach that we took for the grad show is actually quite reflective of how we approach things in ASD, whereby we're always wanting to challenge conventions and to find a different perspective of how we look at things and different problems. So personally, I feel that this approach has really helped me to see the world in like a different lens and to find creative solutions for different problems.
My thesis actually examines the conditions of communities that are vulnerable to climate change. And it examines their potential, it explores their potential to become the pioneers of our adaptation to this new world that is created by climate change. So we used Mekong Delta as a testing bed. So our research is actually anchored upon the conditions of Mekong Delta and how they are affected by climate change, how it affects the agriculture, the fisheries, and basically the basic livelihood of that community. We look for potential for them to eventually adapt and to adopt new ways of living, new ways of surviving, and eventually thriving in this new environment that has been created by climate change. So because the project is based in Mekong Delta, which is actually very vulnerable to rising sea levels, my design is actually a speculative fiction that explores how humans can be living in this new aquatic territory. The topic of this thesis happens to align with the Jacques Rougerie competition vision, how it encourages architects, students, and designers to imagine new typologies, new building typologies, or new communities that could be designed within this aquatic territory, especially as defined by the sea level rise. When I went to the ceremony and I met a lot of people who were involved in the jury or in the organization of the award. I met people from UNESCO, met astronauts, and even famous architects. And it was very encouraging to see they acknowledge the work that I've done in school, even though I'm only a student. So it was actually exciting to see that even the industry or even international organizations like UNESCO are looking at visionary projects and actually being inspired by it. So sometimes it feels like there's a gap between the pragmatism of the industry compared to the way that we are encouraged to be innovative in school, in SUTD especially. So for my thesis, I had this thesis mentor, Professor Eva Castro, who's very radical in her way of thinking, who always pushes me to think out of the box. Sometimes after graduating, I felt like I couldn't find a link between what I learned in school and what I'm doing now in the industry with conventional kind of architecture. But like I said, when I went to the event, when I found out about this competition and kind of like other efforts all around the world against climate change, I realized that for a problem that is as new, as big, and unprecedented as climate change, it really takes the freshness of the students' minds, of people who are more radical thinking, who like fresh graduates who don't know yet about the limitations of the industry or of the real world, with the expertise of the industry, of the people who are more experienced. I feel like students can really make a difference and try to not just combat climate change, but to adapt to this new world.